Hey you guys, what's up? Amphispiza here again. So we are continuing with our basic recolor tutorial. So the first part was just basically coloring the wolf. So I'm going to use Thea for this one. So we basically colored the wolf from this to match that. And yeah, that was the first part, just basically getting those colors on there. This part's going to be a little bit more detailed. It's going to be about fur detailing, which I feel is kind of an important part of recoloring. It kind of helps make it look more natural and flows a little better. So yeah, so I also want to just premise this with, I'm going to say things like, don't do this, and like, this makes it look not as good or whatever, and take that with a grain of salt, because I'm gonna say like, don't smudge or don't use dark dark colors for fur details, and I've seen artists do that very same thing and the stuff looks amazing. So when I say don't do it, I just mean I do not do it because that's just not the way I do it, and I haven't figured out a way to make it look good that way. So yeah, so if I say don't do it, that doesn't mean that you should never try it. That means you should try it, and if you can figure it out, that is awesome. And I just haven't figured it out yet, and I'm stuck in my ways. I do it this way. So yeah, so everything that I do, I'm just showing you the way I do it, and yeah, it's take it with a grain of salt. So here we go. So first we're going to start with layers, because I always like to do my furs on a separate layer, because that way if you mess up, you can go back and fix it. So I'm going to create a new layer here. I have mine on a hotkey. If you don't have yours, you can go up here, layer, new layer, and then you can name it whatever you want. I usually either don't name mine or I'll name it furs, like that. So yeah, so here we go. So I usually do on normal mode with 100% opacity. So I use a bunch of different brushes, and it just kind of depends on the feel I'm going for. One of my main ones I use is Soft Round Pressure Size, which is just a brush that comes with Photoshop. And it's basically just going to give you a very fine line. So you make it really small. I think I'm at 5 pixels right now, so do variations of that size. Yeah, so you'll just go in here. Mainly what I do to detail the fur is I just go along with the fur that's already there. So I will go in the same direction and kind of the same style that's already in the photo. So it's kind of really easy, because it's kind of like a paint by number. You do what's already there, and you don't have to come up with anything. It's kind of magical. You just kind of follow the fur that's there, and there it is. Can't go wrong with that, right? But yeah, so I like to start with the ear, just because the fur tufts are pretty defined, so it's pretty easy to follow. So it kind of gets you in the right mood for following the texture here. Yeah, so we're just gonna follow it like this. And it's the super thin brush is pretty nice, because you can kind of just build on it like that. So it starts off thin, and if you want it thicker, you just kind of grow on it like that. Follow little hairs here. And I mean, you can deviate as much as you want, but you can't really go wrong if you follow the hairs that are there. It's gonna look natural if you do that. We're just detailing in here. There's little furs, so you can go in here. And always make sure you're on your correct layer, because I've done that 1,000 times where I'm going, and I realize I am on the background layer, like the actual photo. And that is a really sad time, because that means you can't adjust anything. Yeah, so I'll start off usually with this brush, and then usually I move to kind of a more painty style brush. So this one, Lovely Bristle Watery, I'll try to track down where I got it. I got it from DeviantArt somewhere, some amazing person who's given them out. So I'll try to include a link below. But I like to use this one. Is kind of it's kind of a little less defined, so you can kind of do it for these background hairs, and to kind of thicken stuff up, which is nice. Yeah, I kind of tend to do a mixture lately, and it always changes, to be honest. I'm always trying new stuff and experimenting, because I get pretty bored with my style. Yeah, we're just following the hair, following the hair. Here we go. And so like in here, we can thicken this up. So I want this to kind of come down more. I want these to be thicker. Kind of give it more substance. There we go. And this kind of brush is good for like little hairs like this, you know, because you can kind of just do one stroke and you're done. You don't have to worry too much about it. See, we're just following the hairs. They go this way, so we're following the direction. Easy peasy. This is why photo manipulations are so fun. It's because the base is already here for you. All you have to do is follow the lines. So you can go crazy with this. You can do very minimal like that, you know? So it kind of just outlines it, or you can just keep going and going and basically paint the whole thing in if you're feeling very dedicated. But usually I am decently lazy. And sometimes less is more. Just enough to, you know, make it stand out without being overwhelming. All right. Kind of just follow the furs, and you can embellish a little bit. Like if you want this to come out a little more, like let's say I like ear tufts. We're gonna make her have a little thicker. We can kind of make it curve like that. Really whatever you prefer. And the good thing is, if this looks weird later, if we go back and we're like, ugh, it's a good thing it's on a different layer, so we can go back and erase it and fix it. It's super great. All right, so yeah, so there's the beginning of the ear. Then we're gonna come in here and do the eye. So once again, look at the way that the fur is flowing. So this fur is going this way. This fur is kind of going that way. This one's going this way. This is here. This stuff flows up. So in here, it's always really hard, and I still have trouble with this whole area because it's really tempting to just kind of, you know, do furs in this whole direction. But the furs kind of come up in this way, so they kind of curve up like that. This curves this way, so pay attention to your angles too, because if the wolf was straight on, this fur would probably come up like this, and they kind of meet in the middle right here. But since it's angled, it's kind of all drifting this way, so you can see the fur is going this direction, and then these curving this way. So yeah, and like I said, I've seen artists who don't follow the furs, they do their own strokes, and it turns out great. But the way I do it is I follow the strokes. That's how I do it. That's how I know. But yeah, I've seen some artists just totally rock it and just do their own thing, and it's amazing. And that's why art is great. It's because we all do it a different way, and it all turns out. So definitely, I encourage you to experiment. And, you know, like I said, take everything that I say with a grain of salt and, you know, pick out some tips that you find helpful, discard some other ones, because everyone has their own style and their own way that they like to do things. So I'll bring up a point here while we're kind of intermixing with this black here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take like a light gray kind of to detail this. Some people, you know, there's different ways of doing this. Some people like to do smudging. So they'll fix my brush here. Oh, it's not scattered. Okay. So yeah, so some people like to do smudging. I personally don't like this method just because it I don't know, I feel like you lose the details. Oh. So, and see, smudging that was pointless because I was on a different layer. So what people will tend to do is kind of smudge that and kind of do things like that. I mean, if you can get that to look good, go for it. Like I've said, I've seen artists who do that and it looks amazing. I can never really get it to look right. It just looks kind of like, yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't look very natural to me when I try to do it. So what I'll do is I'll just take like a lighter color and I'll just kind of, oops, not paint like that. Just kind of paint into it just to add some details, especially if it's pure black, because you know, you can kind of tend to lose details, and then that's where it looks kind of unnatural, is when you lose any details in there. So yeah, so I'll just, that's usually how I tend to do it, but like I said, experiment, because you might find a really amazing way to do it with smudging, Or, I mean, some people, you know, you could even try to do it with, you know, doing a dark first, so take black and then doing that. I'll do this sometimes if it's not blending right. So you can kind of just add your own little strokes in. I think the thing just to remember to avoid is just don't, you know, that just doesn't blend in with the whole rest of the piece. So just be careful when you're using dark colors like that. Just kind of be painty with it, because furs are random. They kind of go every which way. So yeah, it's not often I'll actually use dark, but sometimes I do, because sometimes you just need to. This angle is real funky for her eye markings. I kind of chose the wrong stock for this girl. So we're gonna go back to white, and we're just gonna continue to do some eye marking. So I'm doing the thicker ones in here just because it's a little bit easier to kind of get the direction and the flow. It's easier to see it. So in here you'll notice it's pretty defined still. So if I use, you know, this very defined little brush, that soft round, it's not really going to show up. So with stuff like this, if you want the strokes to show up, use a thicker brush and they will. So that's kind of the eye. So here these go this way. And a note about different colors. So it's easy to be like, you know, okay, I'm outlining it like this, and then you go to the white and you do a different, what am I saying? A different direction. So just remember when you're doing different colors, when you're blending them together, try to go like blend into the same direction. So that's going that way. So we're going to keep the white going that way. And that'll kind of help it, you know, flow a little bit more and look a little more natural. Although, you know, as you noticed, that was kind of the wrong direction. So we're going to leave it though. So let's play around with this cheek a little bit. I always like to, you know, give them some fur and tufts going different directions because, you know, while we do get to work with the photo, it is fun to add some variation. So with these, I've kind of learned what's best is going with the flow of the fur and then adding it in. So like I kind of follow it like that and then I can add more. So like, you know, curve it that way. So that way it kind of flows into it and you can get a shape you want while it still looks natural. So by flow in there. Let's see. Yeah, you can, I mean, and you can do whatever you want. Just play with it. Sometimes cheeks look really fun, flowy like this. Sometimes it doesn't look right and you have to keep it short. Whatever you feel like doing. Each one is different. So take it back. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. I'm just going to do this all the way. And I think I mentioned this before. Sometimes less is more. So you can absolutely, like with a close-up like this, feel free to detail all in here. I probably wouldn't just because you want to focus on the face and it's a lot of extra work that you don't need to do, you know? It's I mean, absolutely definitely can, but I don't think it's necessary. I don't know, call me lazy or whatever you want to call me, but sometimes like in cases like this, you know, when I add lighting, a lot of this would be dark anyway, probably. Or it would be blurred with light. So try to keep in mind what you want to do eventually with the photo. If you're going to do some dramatic lighting, you know, there's really no use in doing such intense detail if it's all going to be lost. Which I actually do a lot, to be honest. I'll admit it. I always detail everything and then I lose it when I do the lighting. Yeah, we're just adding furs. We're going in the direction of the fur. So notice we're not like doing this. We're going with the direction, and then we're adding little tufts. Go this way. Yeah, you just keep building on it like that. And it's also important to remember, you know, where the long fur is and where the short fur is. So the cheeks, you know, you can get away with those long strokes. It might not look so natural if you do big long strokes in here, just because typically, you you know, they are shorter up there. I mean, and like I said, you know, everything with a grain of salt. I've seen artists who do long strokes on the face, and that's just their style, and it looks awesome. So if you're going for like a realistic style, I probably would keep up here to shorter strokes. Same within here, because they got little furs in here. And something else I like to do, I also like to outline like the nose and the mouth and the ears often. It just kind of helps define everything. So if you want to do that too, feel free. If not, that's just a style thing. So it's definitely not necessary. It's something I like to do. So we're going to do that. And it's also really hard. I swear half the time I just spend trying to make straight lines. Gotta concentrate there. Alright, so we're gonna outline the nose a little bit. And so, you know, and sometimes it looks good and sometimes it doesn't. Something else you can do too is just kind of outline the muzzle. I'll sometimes do it. Oops, not like that though. So wherever the bridge of the muzzle is, you can kind of put a line if you feel like it, if you feel like it's not defined enough. Whoop. I'm telling you, these straight lines, killing me. So, I mean, and feel free to, you can outline the muzzle, the mouth. Sometimes it looks good to, oops, not like that. To do the chin, sometimes it makes it look like they have a double chin. It just kind of depends on the certain one. All right, so we can do the ears as well. Like I said, you don't have to do this by any means, but it's just one of my techniques that I've grown fond of, so feel free to use it as well. That's cool. All right, so that's basically it for the furs. So I always kind of like to, you know, compare and contrast what it would look like with the furs and without. I mean, so this is I would keep going probably for a while and continue to do details in here, details in here. I might do a little bit like right here and up here, in the other ear and all that. So, but I mean, just even with that, you know, it's neat to see the difference between the detailing and the knots. So you can see how it kind of blends it a little bit better. And then, you know, you keep going and you can eventually do something like that. So, I mean, you know, lighting helps a lot. Afterwards, I tend to sharpen my photos. So this is sharpened and that's not. So it kind of, you know, whatever style you want to do. I think sharpened helps. I think it blends the furs together. And, you know, that problem we were talking about, if you color, you know, light over dark and it looks kind of opaque, the sharpening kind of just helps. Kind of helps it blend a little bit more. So yeah, so I mean, you know, here's the progression of things here. You can kind of just play with colors and all that. But yeah, so that's basically it. I'm not going to do Bale because, you know, it'd kind of be more of the same. But if you guys have any questions or anything that I, you know, didn't cover or answer, let me know. Feel free to stop by my DeviantArt. And if you want to join us for some live streams where you can ask questions or just hang out and talk, my Twitch is listed down below as well. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.